welcome back to the stream. We're having a little bit of difficulty here, so if we crap out, I'm sorry. But let's take a look at what we're doing here. So right now we've got our little Kvothe going. And right now we're doing all of our logic, not based on a state machine or anything, but in our player class. We're searching for our inputs and then monitoring it like that. And I can show you what that looks like. I'm going to pull up my stream here just so I can keep an eye on it. So we've got, let's take a look at our player class here. So we'll go player class. Now if we search for any time a thing is down, see, this is how messy we're doing it, is like when we hold a direction, we're manually assigning all these booleans about which direction we're walking. Now we could do that into a string, which is probably what we should have done, but it's very messy, and that kind of we're manually changing our frame animations here based on our keyboard inputs, which works. It's just not a very pretty way to get things done. So yesterday I started adding in our entity system, which I can show you what that is kind of looking like. At a high level, we've got entity definitions here. So it's like a player has a couple different things. It's got a walk speed, it's got animations, multiple animations indexed by the key, and then it's got things for the animation class to generate the animations for it. So an animation needs a set of frames, an interval to change it, and a texture to render. So the one thing we are missing right now is, if we take a look at our player class, we're actually manually flipping our sprites. We're swapping it. This -1 is a -1 on the X scale. So the X scale factor gets a -1, so it flips it. And then the self width is the offset to kind of move it back into the normal position there. So we're going to do away with this because we want to just be able to say, treat it like a state machine. So like if we're holding down left, then Kvothe's animation is the walk left. If no inputs are held, we're in the idle based on our last input direction, so it knows which way we're facing. So we're going to be implementing that entity system to handle the state machine, not only for our main player here, but for all entities. So we're going to be making other entities, and then what's cool is all we have to do is define them here as what they are, which right now we've only got a player and a gecko, which we don't even have a art for that yet, but this way of kind of separating out all the data, and then we've got an entity class. So this is where we handle, making all those animations. So like a player might have a walk left, a walk right, a walk up. So we're actually instantiating that animation class, which handles all that rendering, and we can take a look at that too. In animation, we don't have it harpooned, but we can add it here. Animation. Now, it takes in a couple things. It takes in frames, interval, texture, whether or not it's looping, and then it keeps track of a timer, a current frame, and then basically all we're doing in the update function for that is cycling through the current frames, and then looping it back to 1 if the timer has elapsed, basically. So like if the timer is greater than the interval, then we're going to go ahead and increment our frame, and then we're going to return a reference to our own current frame. So since this takes in an argument of a definition, as long as we pass in a table that has references to a frame, interval, and texture, then we should... Hey, 7arc, how's it going, man? Hey, welcome to the stream. We had a stream crash multiple times early on, but I'm hoping we're stable now. Yeah, so we're implementing an entity system for our game today. Our game so far is a little top-down game like Link's Awakening. So we've got a bunch of different maps here at the moment. We've got like 10 of these, a 10 by 10 grid of this global map, and we're just testing rendering out some different sprites and stuff. So for right now, we can walk to all of these different places, but we're trying to change it so that our animation is being handled by the entity class, so that we can give ourselves NPCs and little butterflies or whatever we want to add to the game, and then also to be, as an easier way to just go through and check collision detection for all entities against what things should be collidable, like this tree here. I shouldn't be able to walk over that tree, so we'll have to add collision detection, and no entity should be able to kind of go over that. But I've never done an entity system, so it's tough. I'm basing mine off of the CS50 Zelda game dev episode. And I'm hoping we can get some stuff done. So I think what I want to do first here is add the other directions for our character sprite. So let's get a sprite open here, and we will we'll edit our player sprite so that we have both a left direction and a right direction. Because right now we're flipping it manually, but we want to just kind of be able to say our X amount of frames, you know, frame 1 and 2 is going to be walk left or whatever, frame 2 and 3, or 3 and 4 are going to be the other direction, so we want to just kind of separate that out. Now I moved everything, so I'm a little confused now, but I moved it. We're here, if we go into our atlas for our character here. Oh great, looks like our stream crashed. Well, it'll be up on YouTube. Maybe it'll kick back on here? Shit. Oh, that sucks. Okay, well, so right now we just have four sprites for all of our guy. We want to do this differently so that shoot, man, that really sucks we crashed. We want to do this differently so that we don't have to manually flip these sprites. So what I'm going to do is just I'm just going to give us a canvas of two more tile size bigger. So 64 plus 32 would be 86. Okay, so we want to give ourselves every direction gets its own sprite, and actually we need to do this more because we're actually flipping all of these sprites. Like this is the left step, but right step is the swap. So we actually need more sprites than this. We need 2, 4, 6, 8. So we need a canvas size of 8 times 16. 128 wide. And we are crashed, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I don't know if I should just retry it. we want all of these to have 2. Okay. Are we dead on Twitch right now? Shit. Man. Well, it says we're live, but I don't think we are. Okay, I'm wondering if I can swap. We literally just want to flip our sprite here. So now instead of swapping it on the -x scale factor in love.graphics.draw, we're going to be just having our own reference to each frame. So okay, so now we've got a atlas twice as big as what we used to, but we should be able to handle this a little better with a state machine change instead of our manual assignment of the frames based on our input and last input. So let's go ahead and export this as Kvothe Atlas. We'll call it just Atlas 8 because if everything goes to shit today, we want to be able to just revert back to our old ways. But we'll see. I'm gonna go ahead. Why Steam? I hate that Sprite has to launch Steam every time. I wish it would just kind of go. Okay, so right now we're assigning our Kvothe sprite sheet to our texture, and what we're doing is in our. And here's a weird thing: is if we go into player, we'll see that we actually put in the sprite sheet right here. Now, I like the idea of putting everything, including all our sprite sheets and fonts and all our graphics, into our constants. And you know what? Maybe not our constants, our dependencies. So see, we've got our drawables here, and if I put the Kvothe sprite sheet in here and then play, it just looks like, you guys see that? It looks all blurry. So like, that's something I noticed. That is so weird. I don't know why it does that. It does that only if I have the sprite sheet in our dependencies there. But if in our player class we put it back in there, for whatever reason, it doesn't get all blurry and nasty. So I don't know why that's a thing, but maybe by the time we get our entity system working, it'll fix that. But I don't know why that happens. Let's give us, and you know what? Let's take out. We'll take out this Kvothe sprite sheet, and we'll actually put in our new Kvothe sprite sheet, which is going to get a reference to our new atlas that we just drew, which hopefully we did in fact export it. Did we even save it? Did we say where to save it? So we export as a PNG in our graphics. Okay, yeah, we should have Kvothe Atlas 8. So let's go ahead and give us that in our graphics. And we're gonna crash again. My bad, guys, sorry. It'll be up on YouTube. Well, they're not even hearing it. YouTube's hearing it. Kvothe Atlas 8. That's a bummer, dude. That's a real bummer. I don't know what is going on. We're back. Dude, I don't know why. I don't know why. I've never had problems with streaming until today. But I don't know why it's dead. We've got plenty of internet. I don't know why it's continuing to crash. Now we're overriding that atlas with our new one, which means that our left and right is now that. So that's okay that that's broke, because what we're gonna end up doing is turning all this off and just rendering from our entity machine. So what we can do is go into our entity definitions here, and now we can actually put in the correct frames for what walking animations we've got. So if this is our guy here, we can have this for reference. And it looks like walk down is our 1 and 2, which is the same. Walk up is our 3 and 4, which is the same. Walk left is now 5 and 6, which should be the same, and right. So we are saving the correct frames now, but we need to assign the quads. We're not doing that at the moment. We need to go where would we save our quads? Do we say at the moment right now we assign our quads here? We've got a generate quad function, so we can probably handle it all in there now. So what I'm gonna do is just comment these out and also go to where we're rendering all this stuff, and we're gonna turn all of this off because that's our old render. So we're still instantiating a player object, and we're not doing an entity system of our player here, but sorry, Twitch, I don't know why it's crapping out. It says I'm streaming. And we're back down. Okay, I think I'm gonna call it for Twitch tonight. I don't know why it's crapping out, but I'll post. Shoot, man. That really sucks. That really sucks. Let me see if I can change some settings around, and it's like a consistency problem, so I don't know why. Okay, well, I'll continue going for YouTube, and I'll see if I can upload the VOD to Twitch here for people to look at on Twitch. And maybe tomorrow my internet will be fixed. Who knows? Okay. That's a real bummer, dude. That's a real bummer. Okay, well, for now, I'll just take that off. I'll continue the stream without actually streaming, which is a massive bummer. But we'll go here. I'll just let chat know. Sorry, everyone. I'll be posting tonight's devlog on YouTube, and hopefully my internet is better tomorrow. That's a bummer. That's a real bummer. Okay, well, let's keep going. We've got... we're manually assigning our frames in our player class here. Oh, this is all bad. This is all bad. We did so bad here. Okay, what we do want to do... This is tough. So, we want a way to store all our quads, right? So, we'll just put generate quads, which takes in the atlas, and the atlas is our Kvothe spreadsheet. And it takes in what else? Tile width, tile height. So we go ahead and say tile size. Dude, what just happened? What just happened? What did I do? I have never seen that before. Oh my god, tonight is just a shit show, I guess. I'm just destined for death tonight. That's not what I wanted, man. Windows G, okay. Whatever, dude. It saved it at least. I don't know what the hell I did to switch that up. Man, today's been a crap show. Okay. Okay, well, we've got... And our tile sheet is a master tile sheet. Okay, we're in our play state. We don't want that. This is what we want. Where's our T-Mug session, homie? Okay. So we're assigning our generate quads into our player. I don't know if that's right. I'm gonna go ahead and it's okay that we don't want this anymore. It's okay to do this. Now, this is where we're actually changing our stuff, so I'm gonna comment this out. And we're gonna comment out basically all this logic, all of our old logic. Now, why is it still red? OBS has got it red here. Okay, so that looks to be all our input handling, and then this is all like the event dispatches for changing the scene. Okay, so we're gonna continue, and we're gonna try to... What are we gonna do? We're gonna... We want to make sure we're generating our quads correctly. And then instead of instantiating a player, we're gonna be... I mean, we are gonna be instantiating a player still, but we're gonna put a player into an entity. which I don't know how to do exactly, but we'll see if we can figure it out. So what I'm going to do is detach, and we're going to make a new session, and it's called Zelda, but we want to do it in the Zelda directory, so we have access to our harpoon stuff. So we'll go up here to change directory into Zelda, and now we'll do a tmux new. Okay, tmux new session Zelda. Give it to me. Okay. Check it out now. Okay. Let's take a look at just how they do it here in this repo. I'm gonna get that both off here so we can see our beautiful Sekiro art. So they changed the state machine to start. So let's go ahead and see what our state machine is. It is here under start or play. Well, okay. So look, they give themselves, in their play state, they give themselves a player of all these entities. So let's try to mimic this here. So we're gonna swap over. We're gonna go into our play state and initialize our player there. Let's go into our play state, and okay. So instead of the player class, because right here we let the init do all our work for us. So I'm kind of curious how they do it. I guess I want to see what's in their player class. So let's go snag their player. And we'll see. Okay, so this is interesting. They've got... Okay, see, this is really smart. I like how they do this. They say that the init is a reference to itself and then a def. So that's where we pass in our entity def into it, so that we can instantiate a player using an entity system, and the entity system will handle the rendering and the updating. So this is kind of interesting. We just have to make sure our class includes entity, and then we'll make sure it includes entity, and then actually that's totally wrong. We want to make sure our player class includes entity, so we'll go ahead and add that here. Includes entity. Okay. And then we want man, I'm really bummed the stream crashed. Whatever. Okay, well, our player is going to get this entity instantiation. Now, we don't want any of this crap. We don't want any of this crap. So, yeah. I think we want... It's a real bummer, dude. Our internet looks stable, but... I don't know. And maybe turning off Ethernet, well, I don't know. I don't know why it was crashing. Okay. So, let's take a look at their entity system. Their player init takes in an argument, which ours didn't. So we'll init our player with an argument, and it's literally just entity.init gets self and def. So let's do that. We'll say entity.init gets self and def, and we have to make sure that def is an argument or parameter here, and then they take out all this junk. So what I'm going to do at the moment is instantiate ours with this stuff. So what we'll do is we'll go back to our play state, And when we instantiate this player, instead of doing 2 parentheses, what we're going to do is say, we're going to say what? How do they set the player? It's a player table with the values in there. Something like that. And then they can take all of this and swap it into here. Something like that they do. Let's make sure we've got all the references to the stuff we want. And we shouldn't need frame because our animation class will handle that, so we shouldn't need that, but... Okay, is that how they do it? Let's see. So this is their player class, but in their play state, which we don't have harpooned, we can see that they've got, they say that a self.player gets an instantiation of that player entity, and then they populate it with the values from their entity defs. So what we can do is do our self.player, which is a reference to the play state. Self.player now gets a player, so we don't have a Kvothe anymore, we have a self.player in our play state. So what we do want to do as well is, let's just put this at 50-50 so we know it's at a different spot than it used to be. Now, what they do, this is a Kvothe sprite sheet. Now, if we take a look at our entity defs, we've got a texture of a Kvothe sprite sheet, so we should be able to say, and actually, we don't want to assign this, that depends on our animation, so we have to maybe assign our walk speed. Let's take a look at theirs. They literally say, so they do give themselves an animation of whatever the animations table is, but that table is just a list of values that the animation class would need. So that's not the actual animations per se, it's just the table of the references to the definitions of it. So we'll try to do this. We'll make sure that our entity def is player, and then we index that player at that field and assign it into the self player animation. So our self.player should have a .animations field with those table of values for the animation and walk speed. So let's go see, and that should be all we need to put in there. Our animation class will handle the rendering and stuff. So what we'll do is we'll go back to ours and we'll say that the atlas is not here, but a self.atlas gets assigned an entity def at the table of player, and it is a dot. It's not an atlas. Oh shit, yeah, that's an atlas. Okay, we don't need to set the atlas. We don't need to set the atlas because we'll pass in the texture as the atlas for our animation class. So what we'll do is just say self.animations gets entity def at the player index, and we're assigning the animations table. So if we take a look at our entity defs, I'm just going to go ahead and tell my friend here that we are sorry for crashing on the stream. so we do have a player entity def, so that's cool, and we're manually assigning the animations. Let's go ahead and assign the walk speed as well. So we'll go into our player, and it's not our player. In our play state, we're assigning it, and we're gonna go self.walk speed gets our entity def at this index, or at this key of player dot walk speed. Okay. Now we've got our walk speed. Now we don't need, I don't know if we need this quads reference. And then I think we want to change our direction with our walk speed, not our velocity. So let us I don't think we'll need this either. I want to check how they're doing the quads assignment for their characters. So let's go ahead and dig through their code a bit and try to find where they go to do that. It's maybe in the room. They generate their entities. And you know what? We can just do a grep string search for generate quads. And we'll find it here. So they do it in their G-frames. Okay, so this is something we do not do. This is a smart way to do it though. Okay, so let's turn all of our textures into textures and all of our quads into G-frames. Just like they do. So we'll do that because that's a great idea. And we'll go, I'll turn this off because we don't have Twitch going at the moment. So let's go into we'll go into our project and we'll go into the entity defs. Not that. We want to go into our dependencies, and then we want to save. Okay, so instead of saving all of these things as, what I'll do is I'll comment this out and we'll give ourselves G textures, and then we'll give us G frames, which will be quads of that texture. So what we'll do is we'll just take all this stuff. Now anything, I think sand, dirt, and grass, and we are using sand. But I think that's it. So let's, and you know what? Before we get too deep into this, I just want to see if in our map declarations we're using sand, or if we're okay. We should be good to actually take this out. We should be able to because sand is now referencing the number that is in our map atlas, our overworld atlas. So we should be able to go, and I want to go, I think if we take out this stuff, if we take out dirt, sand, grass, tall grass, I think we can get rid of these. There was play state 6. Yeah, we didn't make this pretty. We should have commas here, which we don't at the moment. Okay. It hates us. It hates us. And it hates us. What is going on that it hates us? Place state expected to close at line 5 near the assignment. We just take a look at their play state. See what they do differently. Oh, we don't initialize. We don't pass in. So they got the commas, but I think where we're messing up is we initialize our player class still. Do we? No, we don't. But we need a, okay, so like even seen like this, you know, we don't have a Kvothe anymore. So we're no longer going to be rendering them. Wow. Okay, this kind of sucks. So I guess if we need to pass in something, what we'll pass in is the reference to the player instead of the Kvothe. It won't render it, but we don't have to. Okay. Now do we... Shit, man, what is going on? At line 5, you don't like play state. It gets a curly braces. How is this wrong? We're setting it. Yeah, we're equal. We're doing the same thing. And we do have a player class, right? Yeah. Did we not save this? Yeah. Holy crap, okay. We don't need this junk anymore. I don't think we need any of this. Let me just put a big ol' fat, disgusting thing over it. Play state, we're really crashing here. What is the issue? Play state init. Do we have to... Like, if we turn this off, are we okay? No. That argument 1 in map. We don't have our map class. Okay, let's go add it. Okay. Bad argument 1 on line 32. So we'll go to line 32. 32. Bad argument 1. Oh, we are doing sand. Motherfucker. Okay. What we really need to do is we want to just pass in sand. No. This is the atlas. So the atlas will just say tile sheet. And then the quad, we want to say quads at our index of sand. And then we should be okay. Okay. So we don't have a player anymore, which is okay. But if we take a look at this, once we comment this back on, we are crashing. 7. Okay, so what are we doing? Where are we missing the thing? Let me just... steal this, go over to ours, and paste it. That, you know that's not what I wanted, man. Why does it hate this? Why does it hate this? It doesn't like any of these. Player gets player. Why? Now, before we hit our play state, we have access to this player class, right? Play state class includes base state. That's what we've got. And then, like, our player class includes entity. Are we sure we're doing that in ours? Player class includes entity, yes. Oh, you know what? Maybe the update or something. We see the... Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, player render. Let's see the... They've got update. Okay, so let's do this in our update. Our player update. And you know what? That is kind of weird. Like, we don't... How would we say... If it's player, go check for all of the keyboard inputs, but otherwise entities can ignore all that shit, but... Okay, so let's do this in our player update function. And this is actually here. So what if... Oh my god. Okay. So what if we do... It really doesn't like that, dude. I can't copy from another buffer. We would say entity dot update delta time. Okay. We want to comment this shit out too, though. Okay. Now let's make sure we've got the render, which is entity render self. Oh, and update needs a self object to update too. So we'll pass in self, and we'll pass in entity render self. Okay. So we're gonna go up here. We're gonna say update us with delta time, and then render. Holy shit. Okay. And we're gonna say entity dot render. Is that right? Entity render. Okay. Now render self. Okay, render self. Because it doesn't know what to render unless we say, okay, we want to render us. Okay. Now, is there a problem when we run it? Yes, it's the same shit, man. Here, it doesn't like any of this. Now, entity def. Let's make sure we're doing this right in our play state. Oh, it's entity defs table. So that would help us if we did that correctly. Entity def with an S. Okay. Now if we go back to our play state, do we really not have it, man? It was entity def with no S. Okay, well, we've got entity def now with the S, and we'll go into player here, entity defs. Dude, what is wrong with ya? What is wrong with ya? Okay, let's do it again, man. Self.player. And what is self.player? Player is a instantiation of a table of a class player. Now we need a self.animations to get our entity defs at our index of player, and we'll put player here, and we'll put dot animations. Now why don't you like this? Oh, you don't like this. You don't have access to entity defs. So in our dependencies, are we not requiring our entity defs? I guess we are not. Okay. So we need to require our entity defs, and then we should be okay. Require our entity defs, which is where? We've got entity defs just in our source entity underscore defs. So let's go back here. We'll dependencies, source entity defs with an S. Yes. Entity defs. Okay, now can we go, dude? You hate me. Where's our play state? You hate this. You hate this. No, this is where we're giving the player. Okay, so look, we take this out. Entity defs. 7. Our entity defs is what's screwed up. Oh, we need commas here. Wow, wish there was a faster way to do this. A comma. Cache a comma. Okay. Comma. Okay, and then for now, we'll just take that out. Okay. Now, dude. You hate me. You hate me. You hate me. Do this need comma? Entity defs here. They need a comma in between the tables. Okay. Comma in between the tables is what we need. So we'll go to ours and we'll make sure that we've got the commas here. And then we'll leave it here. Okay. Comma. Player 4. Okay, well this is good. It's a different that we used to be. Where are we crashing? Attempt to index global entity a nil value at player 4. So player 4 is getting entity self-def, so it's just not liking that we don't have anything in here. So we'll take this out and we will instead actually do that. Why? Okay, let's try it again. Self player gets player entity, and we put our self.animations into or from our entity defs at our player. Why is this already grayed out for us? Dot animations. It's already grayed out. So entity defs, why are you hating me? Entity defs. We've got it. Can't say we don't got it. Entity defs, so our source entity defs is in our dependencies. Yes. Yes. Table okay. How is this, why would this not just close? Why is this not, well, that should be grayed out. That's a, like, why can't, if I leader yank that, now can I go leader paste it? Cannot. Why? Oh. Oh, there you're good. Is this reading, dude, okay, let me just get rid of this shit. Okay, that's fine, but that wasn't. What's going on? Okay, so you're fine. And then you're not fine. But if we do this, you're fine. Whatever. Okay. Fucking God, okay. What do you want from me? Expected to close. Okay, you don't like me closing this. It's literally just a table that I can't close. Why? I gotta pee. I'll be right back. I'm thinking we're missing something to do with either the player class or I don't know what exactly we're missing. let me... Maybe we can see... Let's check out theirs. Now, they've got entity defs, player animations, walk speed. Okay, so it's literally just a table. We should be able to just do a table like they do it. So where are we going wrong? Let's give us a self.walk speed. Gets entity defs at our layer index at our walk speed. Now, if we write this out, we crash because we expect a close, but we've got a close statement there. So I don't see why it's hating that. I really don't. Now, if we take these out, do we still crash? Yeah, player 4 is a nil value, so... But where does that crash exactly? Player 4. Okay, it knows it's an entity, even though we didn't. And I guess once it instantiates the player, it's gonna go here, and it knows, hey, we're gonna init with a self and a def. So we need to give it self. Did we do this right? We look at the player, we init with a self-def. Okay. So where are we messing it up? Entity.init. Entity.init. Okay. Okay, I don't know where to go from here. I don't know where to even begin. Well, we include an entity, so the only thing I could think of, player class, we're making sure that we include that entity. Yes, includes entity. Yes, that should be right. So let's go take a look at our entity class and see if we're missing anything. Okay. Now, I guess what I'm going to do is swap over here. And I'm going to check our entity class. Now, I'm going to split our window. And we're going to go into our Zelda repo. And open up here, and we're gonna go to our entity, which is not here. We're gonna go harpoon this. Okay, so now we can just compare. Yeah, man. What are we doing wrong? Okay, let me just... We want to go... We're missing something in, like... In here, let's see what we actually do in our room. We have entities in the room. We set... This is very tough. Yeah, this is tough. I don't know what to do. We crash at player 4. So for right now, we go into play state for We just turn this off at the moment. Okay, so we are in fact just crashing because we try to make an entity. So what's going on with that? If we a init player, okay. Our attempt to index a global entity is a nil value, which means we defined entity. Okay, our entity def has got the same stuff. Let's take a look at our entity update. And our entity update has got a state machine update and then a current animation update, which we don't have. Let's go ahead and give us that. Actually, yeah, we'll say if our self.current animation, then self.current animation gets to run an update of delta time. And does that help us run? It does not. Then we've got entity process AI, which we'll make sure we've got as well. Okay, so I think we're missing something in our play state, or let's see. We got the state machine render. Okay. So we wrote that out. Let's see if that helps us any. Now we're crashing in our entity class. No. Crashing in our player. Let's go over here to our player. Make sure we're not missing anything stupid. We've got an init in the init. Now, is our init just this? Yeah. Why don't we go ahead and just end this? Okay, a player init, then a player update, which takes in a self DT, and we'll just, oh god. Yep. We'll take end and we'll put it up here. And I'll put all that junk down at the bottom. Get it out of our way so we can see what we're freaking doing. We will paste this. Delete and paste it down here. And we'll take this junk as well. Because I want to be able to look at what we did to have our multiple input handling working for us. But I want to just clean up our player class here so we can look and make sure we are doing things appropriately. Okay, we lost our collision detection, but and the crazy thing is, like, Colton Ogden did such a good job on this, making it as simple as possible, and it's still just ridiculously tough. It really is so tough. Now, why are they changing the height? Why are they changing self Y to be equal to self Y plus height divided by 2? Is that the shrinkage they're talking about? Self height. You know, we've got collision, maybe target we searched for. Really? Okay, maybe we just don't have this at all. We'll write our own AABB collision here real quick. And basically, we want to say that it is going to say if the left side of us is smaller than... No. If the left side of us is bigger than the target X plus the target width, and the right side of us is smaller than the target X, and the top of us is greater than the bottom of our target, so our Y plus target's height, and the bottom of us plus our own height is smaller than the top of our target, then we're going to go ahead and return true. Actually, return false. And then otherwise return true. So if the left side of us is bigger than the right side, and the right side of us is smaller than the left side, and the top side of us is bigger than the bottom side, and the bottom side of us is smaller than the top side, then we know there's no collision, otherwise collision. Okay. Now, we're still crashing. Where are we missing? Where are we missing what the hell we're doing here? So if we go into our room, we're giving our dungeon a reference to the player. And do we do that in the play state? Okay. See, we give the dungeon and the current room a reference to our player. So maybe this is where we're crashing. in our play state because our stuff doesn't have access to the player anymore or the entity. But let's see in our play state that we've got an instantiation of our dungeon and our current room here. So in our play state, maybe we need a reference. We'll take these back on. See, why is that? Why are they grayed out? Doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so we're not crashing. We're not crashing unless we try to make a player entity. But I don't know why we can't do it. Now, where do we, in our main, do we require our dependencies? Nope. Yeah, we require our dependencies here in main, so we should have access to our entity defs. Now, let me just make sure we're not missing any stupid commas in our entity def. Okay, that looks right. Oh, it looks like we don't need a comma here. If we add another one, we will, but maybe that's throwing something off. I don't know. And then by the time our last one is done, okay. Does this help us? Okay, we didn't crash there. We didn't crash. Oh, but we don't try to. So if we give ourselves a player class, and we can say, hey, our self.animations gets our entity defs at our table player, at our key player, dot animations, we crash. Mother flipper. Let's see what is going on in our play state here. Self.player gets a player. Okay, so not an animations, not a self.animations, but just an animations. Now, if we take a look at our player, we'll see that we do, in fact, actually, yeah, we don't have an animations field for our player. But an entity has an animation field. So, we take a look at our entity, we've got a self.animations, which gets that. Okay, so maybe we're messing up in there somewhere. Like, oh, look at that. We forgot an S. We're still crashing, boys. Okay. Give me a break, man. That wasn't it. Okay, def animations, okay. Def.animations, okay. Def.animation. Oh my, we forgot 2S. It's called animations dot with an S. So does that mean in here, when we have a player, actually, when we have in our play state, we have a dot animations, yep, with an S, okay. So now in our play state, we've got an animation with an S, okay. Unity devs player.animations. I to fix 2 bugs and then for it to still be broken is just like really disheartening. There's got to be another bug hiding around here somewhere. Animations, great, yeah. Yeah, wonderful, yeah. Animations. Yep. Uh-huh. And we crash. Okay, cool. We want... Let's just take a look at our animation. Now... Okay, so we don't actually reference animations here, but whatever we pass in is our animations table, so that's... It's not crashing there. And we're saying our self.player. Like, what if we don't say... What if we just say, like, a thing called player? Gets that? Still doesn't like it, okay. Well... Are we misspelling something? It's all I can guess is that we're misspelling something. We're not. We're not. Where to even begin, man. We have to just dig through and see what we're doing differently. Let's continue on in our play state here, and we'll just make sure we've got a reference to these things. So instead of actually, yeah, we've got our self.player right here, part of our scene. Okay, good. 1-to-1 is where to put us. We're crashing at 4. A nil value. Index ain't global. Entity. So our entity... Create animations gets animations, and then down here we pass in animations. Now this animations isn't anything. Like what? How is it getting... Is animations being passed in? I don't see. Okay, well, oh, animations is being passed in on create animations. Animations. We spelled that right. Okay. This can be so disheartening sometimes, like, it is so difficult. Let's take a look at our map class. Now, we don't take in a player reference, so this shouldn't have anything to do with why we're crashing. Let me switch this to entity def. And then we'll go in to our play state. When we give it, we're going to be indexing our entity def. It's a nil value. So what if instead of saying entity def, we just try to say animation gets 1. We still crash. Now, if we comment this out, we still crash. So we're missing something very, very fundamental about a player class. But we include entities. So are we, oh, you know what? In our dependencies, I don't know if we're including entity. And we're not. Oh my God, okay. Let's go look at our dependencies. Yep, we don't have our entity. Okay. All right. Where's our state machine? Oh, up here. Okay. Okay, let me put these up here. And then our state machine. Let's put all our states in the same kind of place, and then... Okay. So, if we go back to our entity defs, we give us entity defs. We go back to our play state, and we can say that our player, our self.player, we're going into our animation field, and we're going to be inserting the values from our entity def at our player key, and we're going to be inserting the animations into that. Then we need another thing called walk speed, and walk speed is also going to pull from our entity defs a player dot walk speed. Okay. Now, why isn't that the fix? Why was that not the fix? Why was that not the fix? Did we not save our dependencies? Motherfucker, motherfucker, motherfucker. Source entity. Is that where our entities is? Entity is source entity. Source entity. How was that not it, dude? Okay. We've got entity def, entity defs, entity defs, walk speed, animations. Entity. Entity? Where is entity? Oh, this whole time we had entity, not entity. And we're still crashing. Animation, a nil value. Okay. Well, we are not requiring our animation in our dependencies, so we'll go ahead and do that. I believe it is in, yep, source. So we'll require our source animation. Cool. Okay. Animations returned, a nil value, index a global. Okay, entity, animations returned, and return animations returned. Animation is returned, gets animations returned, gets animations returned. Animation def, entity 13, index a global, animation def a nil value, entity 13. Okay, animations def. Holy crap, I had so many bugs. We got it. All right. All right, we're in business. We are no longer crashing, and we are instantiating a player entity, which is cool. We were not rendering it because we're not giving it anything useful. So how do we go and start rendering this bad boy if we want to? Let's take a look. We're rendering our player class, yes. But we aren't rendering it in the play state, which should be here. If we take a look at the play state, we're not changing the state of our player, so we'll go ahead and do that. We'll say, okay, well, our self.player is gonna get change state, so it's gonna be initialized to this idle state. If we take a look at our idle, entity player idle state, we aren't doing anything for an idle state, so oh, actually it's a default to the entity idle state. So the entity idle state is just a walk down animation, and that's it. Okay, so let's continue to look through. We change our state, that's all good and done. Now we're rendering our dungeon, which is where the rendering is happening. And if we take a look at our dungeon, we aren't rendering our player here. We're moving our player. And then we're rendering, all we're doing is rendering the current room and then translating the camera. So our room is really where we're rendering player, which, if we take a look at the player, how do we render it right here. If there's a player, render him. Okay. Does that mean if we render our player, that is past? So if we go not into the room, we have a scene. If we go into our scene and say self.player gets render, does that mean we can see a Kvothe 50/50 idle state down? That's the question here. Let's see. We do change it. Let's go to our scene. And actually, let's see. We do instantiate with that player object. Okay, so we're in business there. Let's go to our scene. And then we'll go to where we're rendering. Both will render the current map. Very last, we'll say self.player, and I think, do we put, yeah, self.player gets the player that we pass in. Okay, so we should just be able to say self.player render. Entity 31, state machine's a nil value. Okay, so we change state. We don't have an idle state. We take a look at our idle state. We've got a player idle state. And the player idle state includes the entity idle state. So I don't know why we're crashing exactly. We can't index a field state machine a nil value. Oh, we didn't. Okay, so in 31 here, I think 31 of our entity, we're trying to change a state machine, but we don't have the state machine references because we have to kind of say we have to assign the state machine. No? Okay, that wasn't what I thought. There's a way we're doing a state machine change. Yeah, right here. So in our play state, we need to do this. Now, when I can't even copy that. I think when we try to go to change state, and that's in our entity. Okay, so in our play state, we have to handle, that's right before our update. So it's right in our init, I guess. This is in the init. Right after we make a player, we need to assign the state machine for that player. So we need to go in our play state, we need to go after we init our player. Instead of just changing the state machine, we have to give it the state machines to change to. So we're going to say that the player's state machine gets the state machine class, and we put in a couple values here. We need to put in a walk and an idle state. Walk gets, and this is like to kind of change. This is just how the code for the state machine handles what to change the state to. So we're just telling it, hey, if we pass in walk, that means you're going to become player walk state with a reference to our current player. And then what else is here? And a reference to our dungeon. Why do we do that? Does our walk state require? Our walk state requires an entity walk state. It requires a dungeon, so I guess we will make sure. Oh God, okay. We'll make sure. Nope. We'll make sure that we've got, and if we go to our walk state, we can see that we've also got a reference to our room. So we'll just pass in that reference to the room. So it should be a self.room. And then let's make sure we're not missing anything. And end. Okay. So we say end, and then we can add in another idle state. Okay. We're going to return our player idle state, and that's going to take in a reference to our self.player, and then we say end. And why is this hating us? We need a comma. Yeah, we got a comma. We got a comma. Why are you hating it? We forgot a string here. Okay. Now let's see. Player idle state, a nil value. Okay, we are doing it wrong still. We do change the state of our player to idle. And we're crashing there at 10. Idle. Are we not requiring our idle states? Okay, let's go. Let's look at our dependencies here. And we'll make sure we're getting all of our states. Yep, we need to require all these states in our dependencies. So we'll go ahead and in all our states here, we need to require our source states entity idle state. Okay. Now we need our entity walk state, and then we need a player idle state and a player walk state. So we've got player idle state and then a player walk state. Player idle state not found, man. Player idle state. Source states player idle state. Now, if we go check out ours, we source states entity player. That's what we're missing. Source states entity and then player. Okay, that's what we're missing. Entity 35. Let's go ahead and see it. Got animations. Field X, a nil value. We don't have an X for our entity, so we need to either initialize it or when we initialize it in our play state, just give us a self.x, which we are not doing at the moment. So we'll say, can we just say X gets 0? Still doesn't like it. Attempt to perform arithmetic on field X, a nil value. So an entity at level 50 or line 50 doesn't have a self X. So let me see their entity state if there is a reference to a .x anywhere other than the render, which they do in their entity def assign it here. So in our entity init, we want to put in a self.x getting whatever our def.x. So that just means we need to give us a self. We need to define our x and y here. And I like doing this like the or. Offset y gets def dot offset y or 0. So if there's no offset y, it'll just put in the value. So we'll say, you know what, we'll put, right now we'll just put in this or 16, and then we'll do an or 50 or 50. Okay, well, we're not crashing. We're not rendering our guy. But we're not crashing. Now, I thought we would be rendering him here. Our X and Y might not be working. Now, I guess what we can do to test this is to, well, we could assign an X here to be 10, and a Y to be 10. And make sure we've got an X or a comma down here. We do. Okay. Okay, we're still not showing up. Now we're not rendering. Now we might not, and you know what? If we print up what our player.x is, we probably are at 10. Let's see if we do that here. Let's print up our x and y, and we'll print up our self.x, our self.player.x. Is that right? Self.player, yeah. Now, we are at 10. Okay, that's good. Now we just know that our picture's being not rendered, or our quad is wrong or something. Let me see about what would we do. We want to make sure our animation is defaulting to something or being changed appropriately, so we aren't updating our animation actually. So let's make sure in our entity, do we update, we do change our, oh here, do we do this, do we change our animation in our entity class here? We are doing it. Current animation gets self animation's name. Okay, and then we are updating our entity update, but I don't think we're not updating our player. I don't believe. So where do they update their player? Okay, I think that's not what I wanted. I want to see where they update their player. Do they do it? They update their player in the room, which we aren't doing. So in our scene, we update our map, but we don't update our player. And we do have a reference to our player. So in our scene update, we just need to make sure that we are updating our player as well as our map. So we'll say self.player. Pool gets update. And then maybe we'll show up, but we're rendering our player. So we should be seeing it. And we render the player where? Here. Self.player render. Okay. Let's do the same thing here where they say if self.player exists, then we go ahead and render. Still no. We've gotten X and Y. We're just still not seeing it. So we are updating our player. Our animation for our... Let's see, our animation. We've got this stuff, and we've got the whole code for all that stuff, but we're not rendering it. Shoot, man, shoot. Okay, we got an idle state. So how do we actually render our animations? Well, it's part of our... Isn't it part of rendering our entities? I think it's part of our entities because we render the state machine for our entity. This is so tough, dude. This is beyond tough. Self.state machine render. So our own state machine is what? Our own state machine is an idle animation or a walk animation, right? So if we search for state machine, we change it to whatever our idle is or whatever. In our play state here, we go change to idle. And then, like, if we go to the idle state in our entity, idle state. Let's check our entity idle state. Yep, we're gonna change it to idle. Okay, so this is where we're messing it up, because we're changing it to an idle state, but an idle direction state, which we don't have defined. Because if we look at their idle, actually, if we look at their entity defs, their animations actually has an idle. So let's add that to us because we don't have that. Entity defs. Now we need a comma, and then we need to put in our idle animation. So we'll say idle left. It gets a table, and that table is of frames of, and we want to see which, I won't add this just yet. We want to see what our tall standing one is, because our idle will be our tall standing side, or our left foot if we're walking. Texture gets our both sprite sheet. I did the same thing. Okay. Now we need this but for top down and right. So we'll say that it goes left, right, up, down. Okay. So now we just need to give these right frames. So let's pull up our quad here. Now we know our idle left is going to be the tall one, which is going to be frame 5. So we just say frame 5, is idle. Idle right is our tall, so that's going to be frame 8. And then our idle up is going to be our left foot, who cares, frame 3. And our idle down is going to be our left foot, which is 1. Okay. Depth's 30. Okay, we messed up a... We need a comma. We need a comma. Chameleon right here. And here. And here. And not there. Mother flipper, man. Okay. Well, let's print up our freaking... Our state. If we go to our... if we go to our play state, let's print up what our self-player state machine is called. How would we do that? I don't even know. Let's print up, we'll say love.graphics.print, and what we'll do is print up state machine, and we'll print up a state machine concatenated with a stringified version of our self.player.statemachine. Okay. And we'll do that at 0 and a what? Actually, we'll do it at a 5 and a 45. So we can see, okay, it is not a string, so how do we say the name? Player.stateMachine. Okay, well, that's not helpful to us. So when we change our idle, what if we just say we've got these frames, but we don't have, you know what, the texture? Let me take a look here. I think the texture, like, this texture character walk is actually the quads. So we need to do that, because if we take a look at their constants, actually their dependencies, yep, the textures actually, yeah, okay, exactly, they're doing the quads, they're giving the quads there. We don't have that, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go back, and instead of Kvothe sprite sheet, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do, let's see where we do Kvothe sprite sheet. Now, see, yeah, we're doing that. Okay, that makes sense. We're not seeing our big boy. Let us go to our dependencies. Now we'll do this like we were meaning to do it, which is our Kvothe sprite sheet is actually, okay, so here's the deal. We give ourselves a global textures table, and it takes in keys to what our global textures are. So our character walk, we'll call it character walk. See, I don't like that they call, I guess it makes sense to call the quads the same thing, just in the different textures. So like character walk gets a love.graphics new image, and it's this. Highlight to the end. New image graphics / Kvothe Atlas, and it's Kvothe Atlas 8 for us. So now that we've got a global textures of that, then what we can do is say that our global frames table now also has a character walk, and we'll say that it gets to be a generate quads of our G textures at our index, actually at our character. So at our G textures character walk. And then we need to also pass in the width and height, I believe. So tile size maybe. Let's check theirs for this. They go character walk, G textures, character walk, and then 16 and 32. Ours is 16 by 16, so I think we're good there. So we've got a global textures now. Now we've got this Kvothe Atlas 8 in our character walk. So where do they then say that, actually, yeah, how do they... I'm curious how they define where to put the textures, or like when they render the entity, is that in the entity walk state or what? That they control that? Walk state, they do render it, okay, they do render it in the walk state. So let's take a look at our entity walk state. And we are doing a similar thing. Now we're rendering it at our anim.texture, at our G-frames texture. Okay. Generate quads a nil value on dependencies 46. So when we call generate quads, we are failing. What is happening there? Now we are requiring our util, which I thought was our, where we have our generate quad function. We do have it in our util, and we are requiring it, so why are we busted, boy? Oh, quads J, 46, that was a bad mistake. Under our dependencies, underline 46, our generate quads has a J there, for no good reason. We're still not rendering. We're still not rendering our big boy. Now, character walk is the texture. So if we look at our entity, nope. Where do we change? Oh, it's not our walk, it's our idle. We need our idle. Okay, so what if instead of defaulting it to our idle, we default it to walk? Would that make our guy up here? It does not. So what we'll do is make sure that in our, what would it would be under our entity walk, actually entity idle state. We've got the different idles. Okay, so since we're in, yeah, how we're in a walk, we're in an idle state. So no matter what idle direction we're at, we should be rendering it. But we've got only a character walk as far as our. Jeez, man. This is hella tough. Where are they saying walk right, walk left, idle left? Okay, so like, how come, oh, they do pass in the texture here. Are we passing in the right texture? It's actually only the same texture, so we should be good there. It's always going to be our... And it's not this. I mean, they put in... Why did they put... Okay. Well, character walk is our character walk is our texture. I don't get how we can say just texture of character walk. I don't get how that knows which texture it is. Actually, it's just a string, so texture string. So when we draw it at our G textures, it knows to put in character walk because our texture is a string. Okay, I think that makes sense. So we can go Kvothe sprite sheet and we can go ahead and substitute our Kvothe sprite sheet with a replacement of our string character walk, which is a texture, and I deleted it. Substitute both sprite sheet, replace it with character walk, and hit enter. Okay. We're still not rendering it. Mother flipper, dude. Okay. Now, if we go into where... It's so tough. It's so freaking tough. This is me copying code, and I can't get it to work. Like... We're in our idle, right? So our texture's getting... We take a look at our entity idle state. We'll see that our entity changes the animation to whatever our direction is. And if I change the animation, and what's weird is, why do we have, so like we have a state and then we have an animation. So if we're in, okay, so idle state just waits to change to walk. Okay, okay. But then our idle state is waiting to change. Our idle state is waiting to change to walk, and then our walk state is waiting to change our state back to idle. But I guess I don't really get where we're... Now we change our state to idle. Okay. This is so tough. I'm just gonna... Now we've got the texture, which makes sense because we draw the texture in our what? In our entity definition. No. We draw it based on the state we're in. So our entity walk state is here rendering. See, in that dot texture is where we're getting that character walk, and that's the texture of our G textures. So as long as our G textures is right there, character walk, which is our image of that, we should be okay. Then we're generating a quad at that atlas called character walk as well, which just makes it so that in our entity walk state, okay, so if we didn't change this in our entity idle state, did we? Huh. We don't have that in an entity idle state. Let's see how we're rendering. Yep, we're not even doing this. We're not drawing anything in our idle entity state. So we need to do this, and what we'll do is we don't even have an entity idle state render, which is no wonder we aren't rendering our idling entity idle state :render, and we will love.graphics.draw, and what we'll draw is our atlas, which is our textures at our animation texture. Now, we don't have an anim in this class, so we'll have to make sure that we assign it here with this current animation. So our animation class will spit out the current animation as long as we update our entity, and then we will take our entity current animation. Okay. So local anim gets our current animation, and then we're going to draw G textures at that current animation's texture. And it'll be at, actually the second argument is then going to be the G frames of our anim. I don't know what to put in there. They do it at anim texture as well. Okay, yeah, we save it as the same name, that's right. So anim.texture, and then the at the quad of our get current frame. Now I want to take a look at that get current frame function, right? Yeah. And then you still got to give it an X and a Y, and they give it a self.entity.x. They actually floor it, but I am not doing that offset, so I'm just going to be doing a entity.y and then closing that out. Entity get current frame. It's get current frame, not get frame. Now, they are doing this get current frame from their anim, and their anim is just a current animation from the entity, and our animation take a look at our animation class. We should have a get current frame, and we don't. Let's take a look at their animation class, and we should have a get current frame like they do. Yeah, we just didn't have this. Actually, yeah. That's why. We called it the wrong thing. We need to call it get current frame, which then returns the self.frames at our current frame. Okay. We got Kvothe on screen. Now, look at that, man. We're close. We're close. That's awesome. Okay. We're finally close. We're finally close. Okay, so right now we're not doing anything but changing the animation based on the inputs. Animation. So what we would do here is go into our entity idle state and make sure that, and actually that would be in our entity defs, that we have the current frame for whatever idle, but we're not ever switching it to anything more than idle left. So we need to make sure we do that. And what we would do that with is yep, we've got all that. Okay, so all we have is entity walk, changing that. Okay, so we start with an animation of walk down, which works if our entity direction is down. Okay, so how do we change our entity based on what inputs we're doing? Now, I think they do it in, I want to say in their entity walk state, they go ahead and ask these things. They aren't actually getting those directions. It's actually, oh, here it is. Yeah, here it is. So in their entity walk state update, they go ahead and change all this stuff. So we've got now, okay, we want to put where do they change the directions if where do they change the direction if okay, let me check something here. We'll search for direction and we'll look at where, okay, not here. There it is. Player walk state update. Okay, so we need that. Player walk state update. If our keyboards are down, we change our direction and change our animation. That'll get us pretty far. So in our entity walk state, that was entity walk state update? Player walk state update. That's what we need. So we'll go player walk state update. Cool. Okay, yeah. So we've got that. Okay. So we can say else if love.keyboard.is down, right? Then we're going to go ahead and take our entity direction to become right. And then we want to change our entity's animation to match the walk right animation. So it makes sense why left was working, because that's the only one we were checking for. And now we will do not in else, but else if And then we'll do another else if love.keyboard is down up, then we want to take our entity's direction, make it up, and change our entity animation to be the walk up. Okay, and then one more. And if our keyboard is down, then we're going to be facing down, and we're going to be walking down. Now, we are not updating our position, but we've got the correct animations, which is huge. So, you know, we don't have our multiple input handling, but this is very nice. This is very nice. Okay, so if no keyboard is down, we're change idle. So see, if I let go in the middle of animation there, they pop up, which is cool. Curious, if we go into our play state and we look at what our timer was. If we look at what our timer was, oh, I don't see it. Frame advance is a 0.5. So 0.5 is going to be our threshold. So if we go into our entity defs, we've got an interval of 0.5. So we've got the same animation going. Okay. This is really cool. This is really cool. I'm going to see if I can't get some X positions changing. And then if we got that, then we'll call it a night. So we'll look at where they update. Where do they update the X position? Now, they must update the X position in the specific walking state. Let's see, in the update, yep, we're gonna get, yeah, boundary checking, okay. So if we look at this, they modify their entity's direction. So like, if direction is left, which is what we're seeing, we'll have to do something different. Because they don't have diagonal walking, but we do. But they've only got one direction at a time, and we've got diagonals, so we gotta handle that. This is good though, this is good. We do want, let's see if in the player walking state, if entity is down. Okay, so we are updating we should be updating our Y position. We are not. Do we render based on our Y position? Yeah, our entity Y position, we do. And if our entity direction is down, we're saying, so do we not give ourselves a walk speed, is the question here. I believe if we take a look at our current player, actually, we take a look at our constants, we'll see that our velocity is a 0.9. So we'll make sure our walk speed is a 0.9, and then we should be at least going down at the moment. So we need to go to our play state where we are initializing our player, and our walk speed is getting an entity def's walk speed, which let's check that out real quick. Entity def's walk speed is a player walk speed, and our player walk speed is a what? Constants, player walk speed. Player walk speed, do we not have it? We don't have a player walk speed. Player walk speed, we don't have it. We're setting it to something that isn't even in there. So we'll just go, and actually I do like the idea of player walk speed. It makes a lot more sense than velocity. So we'll say player walk speed gets a 0.9. Then now we should be walking. And we are not. We do, in fact, give us in our play state a player walk speed. But yeah, a dot walk speed gives us an entity def of our player walk speed. Let's just, for right now, we'll put in the hard-coded one just so we'll see, and it's still not walking. Okay. Player walk speed. Okay, so player walk speed is not updating our position. So in our player walk state, we've got, yeah, we're not updating our position here. We should be updating it. Was that in our idle state? No. Is it in our entity state? No. If our directions, yeah, we're not doing that. So where are we modifying our Y position based on input? I thought it would have been in this entity walk state. We are. If our direction is down, then we're going to go ahead and modify our Y. By entity walk speed, Y gets current, times dt. Entity Y, and we're doing our entity Y. Okay, entity.y. So, just for shits and giggles, I'm going to say that we just have a Y that is initialized at 0. In our update, we're going to say Y gets Y plus delta time, and then we're going to go ahead and render our entity at Y if it is down. That didn't do what I thought it would do. Okay. Entity walk update. We're going to say if our direction is there, Let me just change this to be 1. See, that doesn't make any sense to me. We should be updating our entity's X. Are we're updating our entity. We're updating our entity because we're rendering our state machine, right? So like, are we not updating our player? Our dungeon. Where is our dungeon? And our dungeon, okay, well that's where we define it, but when we update our player, are we not our player it has to be updating. We've got our we've got to be updating our player, man. We've got to be in our play state. Do we update our player? We update it in the scene. We update our player right here in the scene. We are updating. So why are we just not moving? Why are we just not moving? Now, if wherever our player is, what if in our update, yeah, we're updating it here. Update our entity. So let's see our entity, and we say in our update, we're changing our animation. Let's just say our self.x gets self.x plus 0.3. Let's just do that. We do move. So why is our self.entity this might be screwing us. Dude. I don't even know where to begin, dude. We're just not moving. We are not moving. Now, if we go into our play state and when we're rendering our debugging here, if we say we're rendering our Kvothe X and Y, we aren't moving. So what we're rendering here is a self.player.x. Okay. So why is it that in our entity walk state, we are not actually moving? Now, if we were to take this and just say in our entity walk state update, we're just modifying our Y, we don't move. So are we not updating our walk state? We have to be because we're rendering our animations. We aren't actually changing our animations here, so maybe we're not actually changing our animation to the correct walk direction. Because our entity walk state, I would like to be able to test and print what animation state we're in, but I haven't been able to. Now, we do this a little different. They add the offset here. We're not doing that. Change animation walk. We have to be in the walk state because we start rendering those other sprites. So we have to be in the animation state, but we're just not moving. Now in there, they initialize their player X to the center of the screen do we do... Oh. Did I change anything? In our play state, we do have an X and a Y. We should have a width and a height. Now, if we switch this to like 30 and 30, we should move. Okay. Now we're still not walking. Still not updating our position. So where are we? We only init this once. So why is our X position not going? Let's see if we go into our entity idle state, and if we just say, we're gonna say, hey, our entity dot X is just gonna get our current entity dot X plus a 0.3. See, we're not updating our entity X position. So we're missing one thing where we update. We're like missing one thing where we update our it's like our state machine is working, but we're not updating our position. So like our entity's state machine render is working fine. We're just not updating our position. So I don't get where we're missing that, but it should be in entity walk state. We are updating the position, and then when we update our position, we then render at that new position. So are we not doing that? We have an entity walk state, and we have where we're searching for now, based on our entity direction, we're going to be modifying our X and Y position. Okay, great. But then when we render it at that entity X and Y, it's not working. Now, if we were to just put like plus 50 in there, we don't move. So why is it that this isn't rendering? We're not rendering our... Oh, that was in our walk state. So let's go ahead and say plus 50. Now, if we walk, we do get our plus 50. So entity X just isn't getting updated for here for some reason upon our direction. Now, we aren't got our process AI. We've got if our entity's direction. Let's print up our entity direction and make sure that's working. Because if we move our entity dot X gets our current X. Well, yeah, let's just do 50. If we move our entity walk state to be 50, that's not working. Entity X. Oh, self.entity. So self.entity X. Still not working. Why is that not changing our position? We must not be updating our entity walk state, but we should be updating every animation state we're in. Why is that not changing? Now, if we go ahead and yank that and put this here, does that move us? No, it doesn't either. What are we missing here? We're missing our entity walk state update. Now, where do we, in city, we are updating our, we're updating our animation based on the animation state, right? So like player walk state. We should be doing this in our player walk state. We are doing that. Now, we don't do any render. Oh, we don't update our walk state. We need to update our walk state here. So this is a way of saying the state machine for our walk, we need to go ahead and update with our self and delta time. Now, we do that, do we walk? Okay, well that's good, that's good, that's good. Walk speed's crashing, so that's good. We want in our walk state, actually, in our player walk state. Okay, well where, dude, what? Let's calm down. That was almost it. We crash an entity walk state 21. Walk speed is no value. Entity walk state 21. Entity walk state 21. We try to do an entity walk speed. So does that mean in our play state we're not giving the entity walk speed? We are doing an entity walk speed based on the walk speed of our entity. What if we just put in, we go delete cache, and then we say that this is just a 1 with a comma. We still crash. Entity walk state 21 just does not like that. Walk speed with a capital S. We go to our entity walk state 21. Entity gets our entity walk speed times delta time. So entity walk speed is not getting set. So our entity walk speed is not being set. Let's make sure our entity defs has a walk speed. It does. It's a player walk speed. So why? Player walk speed definitely. If we go to our constants, player walk speed, we've got player walk speed 0.9. Yes, yes. Now we've got what? Entity walk speed. Oh my god, I am just. What? Entity walk state. Harpoon it. Now, a self.entity walk speed. Why don't we have that? We initialize it. We initialize it. And we crash. Walk speed is a nil value. Why is that the case? Now, in our play state, we give us a walk speed right there. Should be player walk speed with a comma, but we crash. And we crash because our entity walk state is trying to initialize the... We get our entities, and let's make sure our entity that's being passed into a walk state is in fact our self.player for our play state. Now our entity walk state, when do we change into walk? We should say our walk, oh my god. Whenever we go to just walk, when we change it, oh my god. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna close this. Now, instead of grepping this, we can grep walk like this. That should narrow it down. Yeah, so from our player idle state, we change to a walk state here. close. We're close. We're just not getting our variable for some reason. Player walk speed. Self.player. Player walk speed. Why is this not working? Now our change to walk state. This is all working because we're moving down. But it's not working. We can't put in our walk speed. What if we put in our player walk speed here? That's so weird. Why does it do that? Now what if we do a times delta time? I don't get why the entity we're passing in here to our change. Now we should be passing in. We just changed the state machine. Oh, dude, why? Why? So if we say speed is player walk speed, then when we go to our player, that is our player init. Yeah, why can't we do this, man? Why can't we say walk speed gets entity defs? For our player at our walk speed. Now we go to entity defs and we make sure that our walk speed that we are giving it is our player walk speed, which it is. Entity def, not entity defs. So let's go to our play state and we'll go entity defs. And we crash because walk speed is a nil value on entity walk 21. We aren't passing in our entity when we switch to walk state. No, we must be because we're walking down. Oh, we're going down to the earlier round. We have to be passing in our entity because we're actually updating it. If I can just get the walk speed to work. If I could just get the walk speed to work. State machine 56 and update. Yeah, okay, well, doesn't help me much there, does it? So it looks like once we change... Okay, so it looks like our self.states or self.current might be able to print up what state we're in. Let's try that. Self.player.statemachine.states. No, maybe current. current, and then put current name. No. I don't know. Walk state. Walk speed's a nil value. Why? We initialize our player here in the play state. And we have a walk speed, which gets our walk speed. Yeah. Hard code in the 0.09, it works. 0.9. Ugh, it just looks gross. Why does that happen? Why can't we pass in the walk speed? I really want to know why we can't pass in the walk speed. Why can't, if we go to our entity defs and we say player has got a test that is set to 1. Okay? Player has got a test set to 1. Now, when we go to our play state and we make our player, we're going to say, hey, our test is actually going to be equal to our entity defs at our player, and it's going to be given the test value. Okay, so we've got test. Now we've got, if we go to our play state, if we go to our walk state, and we can say, hey, this is going to be modified by our entity's test value, entity.test, and then do we crash on test? We crash on test. That's a nil value. So we are updating our y. We're updating our y, so we have access to the entity. It's just our test is a nil value for some goram reason. Our test is not getting populated. And we can't even put a, what I really don't get is we can't even just put that value in. We can't even just go when we populate our guy, we can't even just say, hey, this test is actually going to be a 1, hard-coded, just a 1, and it should be a test field in our self.player. Oh, but it's self.player? No, yeah, our player is an entity, right? player is an entity, right? I mean, this is the whole deal we're doing. We're saying that our self.player is a player class. Who has an animations and a walk speed. Yeah. Yeah, because if we look at our player, we're doing this entity init, this entity update, this entity render. So, how is it that entity walk state gets entity and scene? Are we doing that? Yeah, I mean, when we change this, it automatically inits with an entity and a scene. So how are we actually passing in the entity when we change our state? Now, we change our state based on the idle state, because that's where we start. So idle state, we change this animation. Where are we missing it? Where are we missing it? Because our entity's idle state doesn't get a room. We're just updating our state. Dude, we're so close. So we get an entity and a scene here, but we're not actually passing in the scene. Right? Because when we're switching to a walk state, where do we say that the walk state gets the scene? Because you would think that once we pass in the walk state from an entity, from an idle state, that we would pass in the scene as well. We don't change. Okay, well, we change the state to walk, but then we don't pass in the scene. No, that's just here. We're missing something. We're not. Okay, so where in theirs are we changing the state? We change it depending on what state we're in. Because right here, we set in our play state, we change our state to idle. So let's go to our idle state. Player idle. Now, player idle, do we have this enter? Enter params? For player idle state? Player idle state. We've got an enter. No, we've got an. Oh, this is player, not entity. Okay. We need to make sure our entity idle state. Player idle state. Yeah, we don't have. We just got this. We don't have this params. Now, we're not actually doing anything at the moment with this, but I feel like we need it. Dude. We done goofed. We done goofed. Okay. Why can't we just plug this in? Why can't we plug this in? What is going on with our update? Our entity walk state. Now, I think we want our player walk state, actually. Player walk state, when we update, we've got just that. Are we updating in our player walk state? Let's see. We've got... We are updating our player walk state, but we don't want this in... We don't want this in our entity walk state. We don't want... Yeah, we don't want this. Okay, and that's because our player is the one that has a walk speed, not our entity. We'll add so if we go to our player walk state, in our player walk state, that's where we need to modify our X, no? They don't, they just do it if its direction is left. Oh god. If their direction is left, then they do stuff in their entity. Because each one has got a different. So if we do it differently, we can say entity direction is left. Yeah, they do it in their entity. They do it in their entity. But why would they do that? I mean, they're going to say in their entity if their direction is left. Yeah, I guess it does make sense to do it in an entity because everything can have a left direction. So in their entity walk state, they've got, based on the direction they update, but they're, shit. How come we can't do that? How come we can't do that in our entity state? We can't say entity gets plus our player walk speed. I mean, if we say our player walk speed here, we do that, and it just does a weird ass shit. Does that mean we can floor this? Math.floor our position so it's not disgusting. Still disgusting, man. It's because it's a point. It's a 0.01. If we just do a plus 0.1, it seems to work okay. But why can't we say self.entity.walkspeed? Dude. Why? If we put in a 1 here, still crash. Walk speed's a nil value on our entity walk state. the last thing I can think to try is just an entity update, right? So we update our entity here in the, I don't know where. Let's just grep string for an entity.update and we'll see where they do it. They literally just do it in the player. Player entity update. We're doing that for sure. Oh, that's us. That's us. We go into there. This is them. We go into an entity dot update as only there. Okay. Well, shit. What are we missing? What are we missing? In our room. Do we have? We have an entity update here. Entity update. And then we should have a player update. Yeah. Player update. So in our scene, are we updating our player? We've got to be. We've got to be. We lost our harpoon for some reason. It's because we're here. Scene, we're updating our player. Yep, we are. Bro. Why can't we do this? Why can't we just pass in a freaking number? All we're doing is trying to pass in a freaking number, dude. What are we missing? Now, if we press the button, we should change to walk. And is that from our player idle state? If we press any button, yeah, we change to walk, okay. But walk is a player walk, right? And we take our player, it is an entity. Now, how do we ensure that we're passing in the player? Entity walk state update. So how, god damn it, how do we make sure that this is getting past these values? Player walk state should get a player and a room. So when we swap to from our idle state, this walk state should have a reference. So if we go here into this one and we go into our walk state, see, look, are we passing in these things in our state machine, in our play state? We are. Okay. So yeah, we do give a reference to that entity walk state, player walk state, player idle state. Player walk state, player idle state, yeah. Okay, so we should have access to it. So why are we freaking crashing, dude? Yeah, our player state machine has, yep. Okay. That's in our play state. In our play state, yep. Do we update that state machine somewhere? We just change it. Do we do a G state machine update or something? Oh. Do a dungeon update, so let's go dig into our dungeon. Let's make sure in our dungeon update that we're not doing a secret, we do a current room, current animation update. So, dig into our room, making sure our room update has got a state machine change. I'm beyond lost. I am beyond lost. New update. Okay, well, I'm gonna do, let's go to our walk state. Try to not put in the entity walk speed. That's a huge deal though, that's a huge deal though. Why can't we do it? Why cannot we do it, dude? Left, we've got a walk speed. Is a player walk speed? Entity defs should have a reference. Let's make sure our constants is before our entity defs, otherwise it might not work. So we'll go to our dependencies and we'll make sure that our entity def is after our constants, which it is not. So we'll make sure we should put our constants up here. Okay. Entity walk state 20. Entity walk state 20. Yeah, well, if we put in our self.entity, entity dot walk speed. Now, we still crash, bro. We still crash. Crash. Walk speed is now entity walk. Ignore the constants. We crash. Entity.walk speed, bro. We have a Y, we have a Y, we have an X. So why can't we? We're getting that. Getting that. That works, that doesn't crash, so you have access to it, so why is walk speed not assigned? Like, why can't we say, if here we say self.entity dot walk speed gets a 1, then self.entity walk speed we crash a no value. Manually setting it. I've got it right here. This is driving me absolutely bonkers, dude. We don't have walk speed. That's what you're saying. We don't have walk speed. We've got literally everything else. We've got literally everything else except walk speed. Why? Why? In our idle state, entity idle state, we've got the same entity. Are we updating this entity in our entity idle state? Are we doing anything wrong here? Let's see. In our other tmux, entity idle state. Are we doing anything updating? We are not. We're waiting to change. Okay, well, our entity walk state, we're changing and then updating based on an entity walk speed, which we have. Entity walk speed gets player.walk speed. Dude, that's all we're doing. That is all we're doing. We're even manually assigning it here so we don't get it all botched up, but we're freaking crashing. What? Entity walk state 19. I am beyond stumped. What about their entity def? Do they have a walk speed? That's exactly it. That's exactly it, dude. We need to say that it is a def.walk speed. And then in our entity def, we make sure that our walk speed is getting a player walk speed. And then in our play state, we make sure we get our entity defs at our player. Dude. Okay. Dot. Okay. That's it. Okay. Well, our walk speed is wrong. I mean, our walk speed here in our entity defs is a player walk speed, which is in our constants, which is a 0.9. Add it to be a 1, so it's a little smoother. Okay, we're in business, so we just go to entity walk state. Now we need to do this. We do right is a plus self.entity walk speed, and then we do else if self.entity.direction is equal to up. Then we know that our self entity dot y needs to get its current y, which is that minus a self.entity dot walk speed. Okay, and then else if self.entity dot direction is equal to down, then our self.entity dot y gets to be our entity y plus our self entity. You know what? I need to just practice typing in entity, dude. Walk. Speed. Okay. Left. Okay. Yeah, what are we doing? Down. Let's do down, then up. And up is going to be a y. Y is our current y. Minus our walk speed. Then left. It's going to be our x. Is our current x minus our walk speed. And then right. It's going to be our x. Current x plus walk speed. Okay. I think our animations need to be faster. And that is in our entity defs. So we can go ahead and here do this to be 3. We could change this all to a constant too, which we should probably do. Okay, so yeah, we need a limit. Okay. Dude, I'm calling that a freaking night, dude. That is just brutal. Okay. We're gonna get at everything. We're gonna say have walking Kvothe using entity system. Okay. Holy shit. Okay, that was a stream, guys. Sucks that Twitch crapped out, but we got it. We got it. Thanks for watching.